Hi, everyone. I see people jumping on. I'm gonna go ahead and get my screen shared so I'm set up. Whoops, we don't need to see that. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do. All right. Well, it is the top of the hour, and Jonica has passed this over to me to just get this webinar kicked off today and try and stay within this 1 hour. I was just saying to Jonica, it is a topic with lots to cover, so we'll see what I can do. Um, my name is Dana. I'm in this photo here in the middle with friends of Acro, Jack, Tina, and Becky. Becky's my direct contact at Acro. We've been working together for almost a year. In April at the annual meeting will be 1 year. I did annual with them last year out at the Gaylord, and this is us wrapping up at SEM and out in Seattle. Um, I will kick things off a little bit formally, but I would love from the group to know that I'd love your participation. So I'll leave some time at the end for questions. So as your questions come up, I would love for you to pop them into the chat. I've got Belma here to assist if I don't see them. We'll get to them at the end. But to kick things off, I'd love for you to pop in the chat if you have experience, if you have previously negotiated a hotel contract for your state or your regional, um, or if this is a brand new topic to you. Just so I have a little bit of information as we go. We'll see if I can present and engage all at the same time. So, as you all know, you've signed up today for negotiating and managing the hotel contracts webinar. I'm going to introduce myself a little bit more. I'm Dana Cox. I will give you a brief overview of the kind of the hotel industry for 2024, some high level thoughts on the coming year. Talk about 3 key steps for hotel contracting. Um, it's a big topic and there's lots to share, but I'll try and give you break it down into 3 parts. And then tell you a little bit more about Conference Direct, which is the organization that I am connected with. And then we'll wrap up. And like I said, hopefully have a little bit of time for question answer. So I am Dana Cox. I specialize in meetings and events, creating exceptional events that leave a lasting impact. Just going to hide this with a background in hospitality, contract negotiating, and meeting planning, bringing a unique blend of experience to every project. You'll see over on the left, my title is a global account executive, and my locations are pretty interesting, both in Puerto Rico and Connecticut. And I would probably put a side dash to there. I spend a lot of time in Boston, Massachusetts as well. This was home for many years, which is where I'm sitting right now. Some of my contact information is here. Key strengths: contract negotiation experience, seamless meeting planning, exceptional event execution, cost reduction strategies. My hope is to exceed client expectations and minimize risk for exceptional attendee experience. I have come to all of this key strengths via hotel management. Is what I went to school for at James Madison. I went into the Marriott Management and Development program right out of school, and worked many years in hotels and resorts, starting with operational experience as a banquet manager, rolling tables and chairs, serving coffee breaks, all that good stuff. Working my way into a conference management role. I spent a number of years at the hotel executing groups like your conferences, annual meetings, and things like that from the hotel side. and then moved into a group sales position. So I was negotiating the contracts on behalf of the hotel, trying to bring in new business, um, and work with various different industries to make all that happen. I'm just gonna pop into the chat and see new topic on the planning committee, previous association. Tiffany, nice to see you. Okay. Okay, cool. So somebody's worked with Conference Direct before, several planning partners. Okay, awesome. So it sounds like most of you have some experience, which is cool. And as I mentioned, a lot to learn, a lot to know. Thank you guys so much for participating there in the chat. A quick industry overview and things that we are looking at this year. The really long and short of it is that prices are up. So sharpening our pencil on the cost saving skills is really more important than ever. From the leisure market, it's very strong right now. It's still robust and recovering post-pandemic. So there's a strong surge in leisure travel. This means competition in the market, essentially, for the corporate sector. I know that you guys are an association, but still generally fall under corporate bookings and hotel contracting. So that being said, corporate market seeks financial recovery post-COVID losses, which basically means the hotels are getting really crafty in making up that revenue. So we'll talk a few times about hidden fees, new fees, things like that that are happening that you need to have a sharp eye to. Heightened demand overall, increased demand driving up airfare, hotels, and in general, total meeting costs. Big one there that we'll talk about that is on everybody's mind is audiovisual. We're not sure about the sustainability of this, right? There definitely remains an uncertainty around the endurance of these elevated travel expenses. That's sort of the question mark here. And as we all know, there's inflation pressure. You know from gas prices, you know from grocery prices, it remains through to all of the expenses for the meeting industry. So, in getting right into our topic of hotel contracting, three main steps that I want to break this down to are preparation for success, navigating the selection process, and then crafting solid contracts. I will talk with you a little bit about the organization Conference Direct and specifically what resource I could be to you regarding hotel contracting. And then hopefully there's a little bit of time at the end for some question and answers. If not, please know that I would be happy to be a resource. Please reach out to me if you have any specific questions about your process, your region. I would be more than happy to answer any questions. So in preparing for success, my aunt, great saying, make a plan, work a plan. I know this might seem really basic, but it is the foundation for your success to understand your conference needs. So, really getting clear, it sounds like some of you have experience doing this in the past. Some of this, my understanding is that a lot of your conferences are repeat year over year. Um, but the best thing you can do in the beginning of your process is to collect as much historical data as possible. Um, Even if it seems obvious, like even if every year you go to Chicago for your meeting or you have to be in Dallas, you know your location, but consider an alternative location would be something I would chat about within your organization about what would be like a second tier or an alternative option. Get really clear with your date pattern. Again, this is probably something consistent that you guys do year over year for your conference. But I would challenge you to consider an alternative date pattern. So what this means is, if you always have your group arrive on a Monday and you kick off Tuesday morning with breakfast, does it behoove you to consider having your guests travel on Sunday, which is typically a slow day for hotels, um, especially in downtown locations? Um, I think the only location that wouldn't really apply to is like resort destinations, which I don't think apply to this group. Correct me if I'm wrong. Um, Consider a second option for your date pattern. So what you normally do, and then could you consider a second option or a third option? Get really clear with your total attendance. Um, that may be different. You know, you may have pre-pandemic numbers, you may have mid-pandemic numbers, you may now have post-pandemic numbers. So take your time and look at what your total expected attendance is, um, so that you can be really clear with the hotels with exactly what you need. I put a couple of industry terms in here in quotations that I will be sure and outline. I have like a little worksheet that I'll send along for each of you to have basically my meeting notes, but pickup reports being one of them. It's just essentially a report that the hotel from your previous conferences can provide for you. Um, if your predecessors that planned your conference don't have pickup reports, you can do one of two things. Either go ahead and go back to those resorts or those hotels and ask them for that information. It's just going to give you exactly what you utilized for guest rooms per night. So if they send you a rooming list, that's not really helpful because that's just number of people. Where if they give you a pickup report, it's going to give you each night how many rooms you used, which will help you in the contracting process moving forward. And if you can't get historical data, it's just something to think of for you to save for your process this year as you're going through your conference so that you can have that for your predecessor. Be really clear with your meeting space requirements. That may seem, again, very obvious, but if you need 24 hours prior to your meeting to set up the meeting space because you have elaborate audiovisual, if you have attended the conference, you might not realize that there was a staff room, which was critical for behind the scenes, you know, having the printer and having a few extra computers and having space for staff to coordinate um, details. So just again, see if you can ask somebody who did this meeting last, be really clear on the space requirements. Just because we don't want to make assumptions. The hotel is looking to sell every inch of space all the time. So if you don't have it in your contract, you don't have it to use. Hotels will probably work with you where they can, but it's just best for a clean contract from the start. Audiovisual requirements, like I said, this is the hot topic on everybody's radar in terms of pricing and sky high pricing. So understand what you need for your audiovisual. This is also sort of a changing space because people are really wanting to be having their in-person meetings in person. But just this week, I have an example where they're doing everything in person, but they had a really great presenter and they didn't want to lose out on that presenter. So they're Zooming that presenter in for the 1 hour session. That does mean webcams, sound, you know, a number of things just so that it is seamless. Be really clear from the beginning what your audiovisual needs are. And your program might change a little. So this year you might be doing a panel that wasn't done last year. When you think panel, you should think multiple microphones. Multiple microphones can then mean a mixer. So as you can see, things sort of tack on as you go. Previous BEOs. BEO is another industry term, banquet event order. This is going to give you from past conferences, if you can pull them from your colleagues, exactly what was ordered for food. Not to say that you're going to be able to match the pricing, but for two things, you're going to be able to know what you served for food. Was it a coffee break with food, snacks, cookies, whatever? Or was it just coffee? Did you have a continental for breakfast or did you serve a full buffet for breakfast? Um, Again, just collecting data, which all pipes into creating your budget. Really important because having your budget it's going to be one of the first thing a hotelier asks. Well, what's your budget for this meeting? What did you spend for room rates last year? Um, and just being armed with that information is going to help you with the timing and how much time this process takes. So once you've collected all of this great data, historical and current, you're going to create an RFP, which is your request for proposal. This comprehensive document is going to be what you send out to hotels. In the world of Conference Direct, which is where I come from, and a lot of other associations, large organizations, they have access to a technology called Cvent. And that is where you would basically take a Word document and build it electronically. And then that allows us to sort of instantly, with the click of a button, send to any hotel in the greater area that you're looking for. It may be something that actually Acro has access to. So that might be something you want to look into. But in general, creating the RFP is going to be your first tool to getting all of the hoteliers the information in one clean way. Then when it comes to navigating the selection process, we're still sort of in that clarifying process, right? So clarify your priorities. You're going to put the RFP out to a number of hotels. You're going to get a number of responses, and you want to, in the beginning of navigating your process, be clear with your priorities. So, what is the quality of the venue? And I like to back into this in terms of what is the attendee experience that you want? If it's bare bones, totally fine. It might be a select service property. If it's full destination experience with meeting and ancillary things like dining and spa, it might be a luxury property. It might also be somewhere right in between. But I say get clear on your venue quality so that you're not looking at limited service, mid-range, and luxury and just overwhelmed. Threading into this piece is the sort of industry outlook for 2024 that people might be looking to tack on leisure travel. It could also be a benefit for you, so that threads into the venue quality. If you want to make an internal push to sell people to come to the conference with the idea that they might be able to tack on pre or post leisure travel, it's again another place where you want to look at the quality of the venue that you've chosen. Given the competition in the market, the hoteliers are also really focused on brand loyalty. So maybe your region or your state conference has been to, they always use Marriott, or they always use, sorry, I just tried to read in comments and got distracted. um, Maybe they always use Omni. That could be beneficial to you in the contracting process because those brands can see history of you, and also it's just a nod to their business, and they're maybe more willing to work with you if there is brand loyalty. Brand loyalty can also be, I'm not sure, sometimes the meeting planners that are responsible for booking get to have the rewards points or get to split rewards points with the organization. So that could sometimes be important to you. A question I would propose to you in the planning process and then navigating process is, are you able to leverage multi-year contracts? So I'm not sure. I'd have to ask Jerica and go back to see about the intricacies of how your booking process works, but based on your terms, could you leverage, we'll book this year and next year, or we'll book 25 and 26? It's a question to ask your hoteliers as you're looking at various properties. Again, trying to get the best rates for your conference. And then get clear on your non-negotiable concessions. These are going to be the perks that you get for booking with that hotel. For example, one complimentary room for 40, or you know that your attendees are typically book last minute, so you need a 21-day cutoff versus the industry standard of 30 days. We can come up with laundry lists of concessions, but it is going to be in the negotiating process important to have, what are my top three? What are my top five? What are the non-negotiables, or what can I let go of? And then communication is definitely going to be really important in your negotiating process. So creating competition is key. Don't look at just two Marriotts in downtown Chicago. Look at Marriott, Omni, Intercontinental, and let the hotel know that. I remember being on the hotel side as a group sales manager. One of the first questions I had asked, besides, what's your budget for a rate? Where else are you looking? And you want them to know that you're looking other places. You also don't want to, sort of let them see all of your hand. If you do find a hotel that you're really in love with, you can express interest, but I wouldn't tell them you're in love with it. It eliminates your negotiating power. And then leverage the positives of your program. So leverage the history of your program, the dedication of your attendees. If there's current growth in your program, again, in that collection phase, in the planning process, you'll have some of that historical data to see trends. And you want the hotels to know that. Again, by asking for multi-year contracts, could be a leveraging opportunity as well. And then a big one under communication, I would say, is response time. This is a bit of a daunting project because it, as you know, or if you don't already know, is a bit of work. You're putting this RFP together, you're sending it out to lots of people, then you have to manage all of those responses and communicate back and forth. So I won't sugarcoat that it's more responsibility, which again, I think most of you probably know, but the response time is really important. Again, going back to the industry overview, corporate sales managers at hotels are looking to regain lost revenue. So they're busy. They're super busy. Or on the flip side, they've lost seasoned professionals and they've got green planners and salespeople. So you want to stay top of mind. So all I'm saying, again, I can speak from experience. I had a client that wouldn't, there was a lag time of 3 to 5 days before getting answers. And it really made the process difficult. It dragged the process out, and it kind of took us off of the hotel's top of mind. If you are quick to respond, quick to communicate, it's going to help you either take a hotel off the table that doesn't work for you, or keep the hotel that you really want to work with engaged. And then I would highly recommend leveraging technology. Again, we have so many tools at our disposal at this time. So Cvent is one that I mentioned. That is something that we use at Conference Direct to help us get the RFP out to multiple people. We also have the access now to what's called the client portal. I won't have time to go through the portal, but I do want to show you what it looks like. It's just a really awesome sort of dashboard. You log in, it's a website that my clients have access to, I have access to, and the hotels are funneling information into. So at the top, you can see the RFP. We go into it. There's a little bit about the event details. This is an example from another client of mine. So you can see the top right corner, there's a little notification button. That notification will let you, me, or you or me know that a response has either come in, The client is also able to make comments. So if I'm working with someone and they go in and check out the Fairmont in Chicago and they write notes about how much they love it or how much this space doesn't work, whatever, I'll see that there. Mid-screen where I drew this little arrow, on the portal, we can look at our options in different formats. This is the list format, but if we're really focused on being geographically near a convention center or near a school, we want to use that map function to help us sort out the process rather than like Google searching, and doing all of this back and forth. It's just a nice little perk there. I have it in the list view, and this screenshot that I'm showing you is also has the top 5 hotels on the list there have a little heart, a little orange heart icon. That's basically showing you that we've gone through the process of making a short list. So we've looked at every hotel that sent us a response, and we've highlighted these 5 as our favorites that we want to drill down and see if they'll work with us. So I'm super excited about the client portal, mostly because it saves everybody a bunch of time and streamlines the process, both myself, the client, the hotel. And I also say chat with the hotel response time because you might lose what you like, you might lose the opportunity for that great date, rate, and space that you wanted, um, because it is a little bit of a competitive market right now. So this helps streamline that. Um, okay, so now we want to craft a solid contract. You've put it out, you're competitive, you've been clear with what you need, and now it's time to sort of drill down. And what I want to high level say here is that hotels want to work with you and hotels want your business. And I really didn't learn this until I left the hotel side and went on to this contracting specialist side, is that they're a business and they're going to give you a contract and it's going to be mostly in their best interest, right? Because they want to protect themselves, they want to make the money that they need to make, they want to um, have the terms best for them. Uh, so overall, like, be diligent about combing through, um, be diligent about speaking up, determining the key components. So again, you're just going to determine that you've got the room block that you want that best fits your needs. The meeting space schedule is clear by the time you get to your contracting process. If anything has changed in the meeting schedule as you're beginning to start your content, you want to take a look at that. Make sure there's no red tape in the concessions. Oftentimes, what we're seeing is they're getting real, like I said, getting really crafty in either charging more through fees or only giving concessions if you meet certain thresholds of the room block. Um, and then billing. You want to internally talk about how your contract is going to be paid for. I would suggest that most of you, I think all of you, unless any of your meetings are very small, like less than 50, I think most of your meetings, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, are bigger than that. Therefore, I would always ask for direct billing. Again, the hotel essentially is going to want all of the money or as much of the money for this contract, for the value of the contract in advance. If you ask for direct billing, this is going to give you the opportunity to submit a small deposit, and deposits are also negotiable. So keep that in mind. Percentages. Um, if you ask for direct billing, this is going to give you the opportunity to have them check your credit as an organization, your past billing, and then ultimately give you the opportunity to be invoiced rather than pay in advance. And I really like that. I think it's smart for an organization because the reality is if you overpay by paying in full and then have slippage or change your menus and whatnot, it's going to take a long time to get money back from the hotel. And then really important, I mean, essentially your whole process of crafting a good contract, reviewing the contract is mitigating risk. So you want to I always would suggest and want you to know that this have your contract reviewed by legal if possible. That being said, it can be a sort of a conundrum because that does take more time. And so you're sort of doing this balancing act of I need to respond to the hotel, I need to capture these great rates and dates and space, but you're going to be very focused on what's happening right now and moving forward for all things go. But a legal review is just going to protect you should the program not happen or um, should you owe fees, etc. Um, this word attrition kind of loops back into concessions. Attrition is a very industry standard term in hotel contracting. Sorry. It's essentially the percentage, and it's typically on the room block that you can be allowed to not utilize without financial penalty. So if you have 100 rooms blocked for your program and you have 20% attrition, your financial responsibility starts at 80. So you have that 20 room wiggle room. Hotel people definitely also negotiate attrition on food and beverage. The same thing goes, maybe you change your menu ideas. Um, you'll have a food and beverage minimum for all of your contracts if you have meeting space and guest rooms. And then cancellation, again, you're looking to have this event, you're excited, you might even be in the process of marketing the event and strategizing to boost attendance. So in your mind, all things are a go. Um, but as we know, especially from the pandemic of COVID, the program could cancel. So it's your responsibility to make sure you're reviewing that cancellation policy. And again, it's going to be in the favor of the hotel. So you want to protect yourself there as much as possible. And let's see. So a little bit about what I do, Conference Direct, is essentially everything that we've just talked about. It's a no fee service, hotel contracting, and it's going to do basically everything. When I work with clients, I conduct an account review to identify opportunities, all of those priorities. I then create an RFP. The process is to put that request for proposal out through Cvent, do the distribution through all of the channels, all of the area hotels um, in the location that your preference, and then collect those responses on your behalf, analyzing the availability and pricing. Sometimes I might even go back to them before even presenting to you that, you misstepped here. This is the dates we're looking for. Do you have this? So that I can then create a customized response form to get you information so that you can compare which ones you like. Again, most exciting is the use of that client portal. It's a technology piece that we have at Conference Direct to be able to present to you very seamlessly from a nice visual perspective, from a real-time perspective, multiple options. And then what I do in this service at Conference Direct is negotiate the hotel contract on your behalf. I'm not signing the contract for you. It's still 100% your contract between you and the organization. I am basically just serving as an advocate because there are all of those little hidden fees and industry things that are happening that are maybe more top of mind for me, which is essentially a way for me to promote cost savings for you. Um, Problem resolution throughout the cycle of the event. So as I showed before, I do some conference management with Acro. I have the pleasure of working with Becky and Tina on some events where I am there on site. But if I'm not on site with you, it's still important to me, the relationship between me and my customer to help them problem solve throughout. You might be midway through a contract and then your salesperson leaves and you have challenges getting answers from the hotel, for example. I'd be happy to advocate on your behalf. We are hundreds of other conference direct associates, account executives like myself. Therefore, every single major hotel brand knows that Conference Direct brings a lot of business to the market. I would help you conduct a room block audit. Also note, if people are taking notes, this is a great place to remember, ask the hotel for an audit, because sometimes people go on Expedia, sometimes people miss the room block deadline, some people book 2 rooms, whatever it may be. There may be people attending your event that are not coded properly on the hotel side. Therefore, you're not getting credit. Therefore, you might be at risk for not meeting your block. So an audit is something that we do at Conference Direct. And then I would always stay with you throughout the process and conduct a post-conference review. How did your pickup compare to your contract? What was the pace of your pickup, so that I can make recommendations for your next conference. And just so everybody knows how I got here, and also services that I offer. Conference management is what I do with Becky and Tina. This is a fee-based service, but we basically come up with, what do you need an extra hand with? What do you need assistance with, either in the planning process or the execution of the event, to make it a really great experience for your attendees. So those are some of the things that we do additionally. And I have talked a lot, and I am really grateful again to be here. I really enjoy my relationship with Acro through working with Tina, working with Becky, Melanie for inviting me. I really, I've gotten to know the organization a little bit. I think this is a nice opportunity to get to know you all again a little bit more. And thank you for being here. Thank you for having me. My last slide is to just let you know that I encourage you to reach out if you have any questions. I encourage you, if you're in the middle of your process, if you have specific questions. And it is only 3:40, so I have done pretty good. I haven't really checked the chat, so I'm going to go peek on that. And then I'm going to encourage that if anybody has questions at this moment, I think that you are all able to unmute yourselves if you do have a specific question. If not, I know that this is being recorded, so I do believe it will be sent out. And I've also made a bit of a document. So sorry if I have talked too fast. I do have them all in notes, and we'll send this as well as a worksheet to share with you all. And let's see, new topic, first time, several lines. Interesting that you use partners to help you with the negotiation. Is that a huge fee? Are they consultants, or do they fully manage? I think I covered that question. I was asking internally. Yes, Lori, you are correct. The hoteliers are grateful that we bring business to them. So the hotel pays us a small percentage of the room rate. So it's no fee service to you guys for the contracting service.
Hi, this is Lori Zaire.
Hi, Lori.
I'm from TACRO, Texas Acro.
Cool.
And I wanted to say, Dana, thank you very much. And I wanted to say to everybody else, signing up with a partner like Conference Direct is really your best. It's your best friend. They can be so helpful. And to try to do it, we know that we all have jobs. Typically, if you're planning an Acro meeting, whether it be state or regional, we all have 100% job, and we're doing it volunteer on top of our job. And so using a service like Conference Direct it's a no-brainer. I will tell you that Tacro, we've used a partner for a very long time. Recently, we became a little bit unhappy with our previous partner, and so we went through a whole interview process where we interviewed, I believe it was 10 or 11 different conference selection partners. And we actually settled on Conference Direct. So we have signed with Conference Direct now to use them for the next 2 to 3 years to see how that goes. And so we've been very happy with Conference Direct so far.
Thank you, Lori. That's very kind of you and very much appreciated that you speak to that. I think I can say that to the group, but yeah, I mean, essentially, we work in contracts every day and we totally understand two things that stick out in my mind, especially putting this presentation together. It's, you know, it's a lot of time. And I do understand that you guys have full-time jobs and this is a new task in conjunction. And it's a lot of response time. I highlighted the sense of urgency and the communication. That is what I'm here for, as well as, you know, negotiating those cost savings. So thank you so much for speaking up. I really appreciate the real-time testimonial, and I hope you have a great conference. What are you planning, Lori? Currently, what are you guys working on?
Right now, we're looking at contracts for 2026, our annual contract.
Nice. Well, best wishes.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And I'll give a big second to what Dana said about knowing your requirements. That is a process that we went through. It took us about a month and a half. We had a small committee that sort of went through all of our past contracts from about 2015 forward. And we really dove deep into all of our numbers for basically everything. And that was one of the most important things that we did. So I really recommend that you really dive deep and get that information and keep your history updated, because that will provide you your best resource going forward.
Nice. Yep, historical data. It's so important. And it's a process too. I mean, that's a process itself. I have to learn still about ACRO and how the chair positions rotate. But I'm hopeful, and what I know of ACRO is you're all a very communal group. So I like to think that your past presidents and your past chairs are people that you can reach out to, and ally with them, and the hotels that they've booked with in the past too. So it's definitely a project, but yeah, that RFP then becomes a real living, working, real-time document and file that you can present to the hotel to kick off the negotiation in your favor. I think if you have all of that information in your back pocket.
Hi, Dana. I just wanted to reiterate and say thank you again for this presentation.
Yeah.
Chad Saunders with University of Denver. We are with RMACRO, Rocky Mountain ACRO. Last year, we ended up having to take a hit, unfortunately. We had planned and had everything kind of set up. We did not have nearly as many members as we were expecting. And then on top of that, apparently the hotel was in the process of being sold, and we didn't know that. And unfortunately, the air conditioning was not working in the building, and our conference was in New Mexico in July. It was 114 degrees. And it was insane. And literally everybody complained about that kind of process. I see Tiffany shaking her head. I kid you not, I had to change my shoe because my shoes melted to a piece of metal outside the hotel. So I actually ruined a pair of shoes. It was so hot. So that's it.
I get Don't hear that one every day.
Right. So I have the wonderful task of planning our conference this year. The way our area is set up, 85% of our member schools are here in Colorado, most of them being in Denver. So the hotel block itself is not really hugely important since we are hosting here on my campus at DU. We don't need the actual event space, but my
Okay.
question is, do you actually have any? We have recommended hotels that our university uses for specific things like this, but we're not setting up blocks just so we don't. We ended up losing about $2,500 on the deal last year. And for
Hmm.
a small organization, that was a big hit for us. So we're not offering to hold the block, but it was recommended that we ask for like a hospitality block or something like that, just to say, hey, can you hold this? But we're not going to give you any money.
Yeah.
Any kind of recommendations or advice for an agency like us that is relatively small with a very low budget, but still wants to offer something nice, but we really don't have the capacity to kind of go so far with big contracts? Would any advice there?
Yeah, I think that well, there's one thing that comes to mind that actually is a tool that I need to research in my organization called ARES, where it is something that maybe we could talk about further. ARES, and I haven't fully done my homework on it, but it's a tool that you can send your attendees to book those area hotels. Um, I would be involved to help you get it set up, but then it's sort of set it and forget it, and you don't have those contractual obligations. So the term you were just referring to is what hoteliers called courtesy blocks, um, where they're gonna just hold the rooms at the rate for as long as they can and not hold you financially responsible. Um, but let me do my homework on ARES and get back to you because that might be, I totally understand you want to offer your guests something. You don't want to just say, oh, good luck. Like that's not a very nice way to welcome someone to your conference. Um, so ARES comes to mind, and you're on the right path of courtesy hotel blocks. And I think the biggest thing for those is just explaining to your attendees, um, you're not guaranteed a room, but we want you to have options. Um, just so that they have the awareness. Um, you don't want them to think that you've guaranteed a block and then they can't get a room and then they're all like, oh man, this has been challenging. I would suggest over communicating or clearly communicating if you do set up those courtesy blocks. And then I'll get back to you on ARES.
Yes, thank you. And again, I don't know if anybody else has this problem, but our conference this year, and I would love to get to Lori's part where we are planning 2 years ahead of time, but ours is coming up here in July and July 10th through the 12th, but most of our schools around here can't actually pay for anything until July 1st because of the fiscal year stuff. So I have a 10-day
Oh,
period to make everything happen and finalize everything. So that in and of itself becomes incredibly difficult to even give
yeah.
hands up and numbers for these kinds of contracts and blocks because we just don't know how many are actually going to show up.
Yeah, yeah. And so I guess I would challenge you to see within your organization. I mean, is there room for conversation for your future conferences not to be in July, given that crunched and the fiscal system?
Yeah, I think it's actually, I'd have to pull out it's actually in our bylaws that it has to be in July. Um,
Okay,
yeah, I don't know
okay.
if things changed and there was a particular reason why that was done, but it's posed problems for years that I have seen.
Okay. Yeah,
Could
yeah,
you
that's a
do,
tough one.
could you possibly do like a registration where they don't actually have to pay until after July, but they can register like starting June 1st, so you have like a better idea of your numbers?
Yeah, that's a great point, Laura, because I actually thought about that too. Just like hey, I'm planning on attending, like, but not actually having to pay for anything, just so we get some kind of a head count. But we're actually having larger issues with member engagement and that kind of thing. We get no feedback up until the last absolute minute. So it's made this process incredibly difficult, even trying to book our speakers and that kind of stuff. Certainly something we can look at and hopefully talk about and move forward with, but I feel like just the way our members engage with what we do and how we do it, it's really hard to kind of get that engagement as soon as we would like to have it.
Wow, you have a challenge there, my friend.
I'm just really glad that my campus was able to host this year, and I'm here on campus to be out there actually with my tape measure, measuring booth spaces and stuff like that. But even with we try to rotate state by state. So next year is supposed to be in Wyoming. I have to announce where it's going to be next year at our conference in July, and we don't even know who's going to host it next year. So this might be something to look at. You kind of piqued my interest with having this kind of help with planning this kind of stuff and
Yeah.
getting some balls moving, but even kind of getting our partners in Wyoming to kind of help and step up has been quite a challenge.
Well, yeah, and it sounds like, I mean, I'm so glad that your colleagues have chimed in with the potential of changing your bylaws, because I don't want to be overstepping or inconsiderate, but it's, you know, maybe that is a bigger conversation to have, just because my question would be for the organization and the bylaws, what is the critical piece and why does it need to be in July per the bylaws? You know, and maybe something has changed, and maybe you know, collectively you might be able to come together and realize that it might not be the best attendee experience either, because I would imagine that if all of these, if you know, you're having these challenges on the planning process, you know, it might be challenging from an attendee side as well. So it might be something that everybody's looking to reconsider.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And thank you for the comments here in the chat, especially Tiffany, that creating a loophole, build a loop. Usually we try to pull loopholes out, but no problem.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, I will be sure and send along, like I said, my information. Look up ARES, be available for consult calls if you have anything coming up. And again, I don't mind spending the time. There's no commitment required for more consultation. So please reach out if you need anything. And thank you so much all for attending. This has been fun for me and fun to get to know some more acro people. Will I see anybody at annual? Anybody? Cool. Well, look for me. I'll have my running shoes on. I'll be probably not too far from Becky or in the staff office. So I hope you all have a great day. And Jerica, I think we're good. Thank you, Belma, for supporting.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dana. We appreciate you. For those who are with us today, please join us in Acro Exchange so that we can continue these dialogues, ask questions, be a resource to one another so we don't have to just wait to our webinars. We do have an additional webinar coming up for next month, and we also have one I think we have 2 for March. So information will be going out, and you will also receive an evaluation to let us know how today's conversation was. I hope it was very beneficial to you all, and we will see you soon. Thank you again, Dana, for your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.